Hi there, Rick here. I want to make a YouTube video on the vinyl window industry, just because I spent quite a few years in this sort of industry, um, working as an installer and a service guy, working in the warehouse. Also done commercial windows for 1 year too. I helped put the frames and the glass in River Rock Casino when it was built. Also Boulevard Casino out in Coquitlam. Um, I helped put the glass and the frames up in the parkade there. Um, so, I want to tell you a story about a company that I used to work for. Um, I won't give the actual name of it, but the couple was from, they were from Shanghai, okay? And I kind of wonder sometimes how people choose their career, um, because they um, they didn't have any sort of experience in this sort of industry, and I think they were still fairly new to the country too, but they knew how to speak English, okay? Um, Not perfectly, okay, but enough to have a conversation with somebody um, in English, okay. Um, their their sales guy in the office, um, I think he was from China, somewhere. I can't remember where, but his English was pretty good. I think even better than well, my boss's. Um, I had quite a bit of education too, I heard. Um, but I think he was under contract. And when I was talking to the owner, um, wow, I think he said that he wasn't going to renew the contract for his salesperson in the office. And I asked why, and he said, he was yelling at the customers on the phone. Um, Not the best thing to do, okay, when you're in sales, to yell at the customer. As the customer would phone up, okay, and ask for how much will it cost to maybe change 7 windows on my house, and then he'd give them a price, and then he'd go, how much to change 5 now, and then he'd give them a price, and then the customer maybe had asked, well, how much to change 4, and then I heard that he threw a temper tantrum at the customer, started yelling at them. Um, but you're getting paid, for doing that sort of work, and you shouldn't be throwing a temper tantrum at the customer just because they ask you for a new price now, right? So I don't blame Sam for, well, not renewing his contract if he's doing stuff like that, because you have to remember, well, maybe that sort of job is not for you, right? You know, um, and you're losing customers for the company too, okay? Um, also, well, the company spends a lot of money on advertising. I used to work for this one other company before. I know that they were spending at least $130,000 a year on advertising. So, you know, when you're spending that sort of money, okay, and then people are calling about, calling your business, right? They're interested in, doing business with you, right? Um, you should be grateful that somebody called and is even asking for a price. At least you have a customer that's, maybe interested in doing business with you, right? So, um, I was when I first met. I'll use the first name of the customer. The first time I met Alice and Sam, um, I was talking to them in the office, just finding out, you know, what installers they had, currently, and how much experience they had. And most of them, okay, they only had maybe about 4 to 5 months experience. Um, that was it, okay. And I was I was telling Alice, I was telling Alice that that was not enough experience as an installer, because when I met her, I had already had 2 years experience working full time in this industry already. Okay, and well, I was pretty comfortable with it, right? But these people, well, even though they had 4 or 5 months experience, I doubt that it was even full time. Okay, um, and then apparently uh, Alice had asked me to go to a house in Burnaby because the job went wrong. Okay, um, the customer, I heard, they they kicked the installer off the job site, and another installer came in, and then the customer wasn't happy with that installer too, and kicked them off the job site as well. So I was the third person coming in. When I got there, met the customer, and you know, it was nice. They, you know, they're unhappy, but they didn't take it out on me. Okay, they knew I was there to try to fix the problem. Okay, um, so I was talking to them, and you know, I was looking at the paperwork, and you know, they took out some of the old windows, and they're leaned up against a tree on the front yard, and they were there for an entire month already. Okay, during the summertime, so you could imagine, yeah, the customer wasn't very happy. Okay, so I was talking to the customer and his son, and they told me all the issues that they had with you know, the company and even the installers. And then I guess from talking to the customer, the customer what was it? Just got a good feel for me. You know, I told them you know, how much experience that I had, and you know, I told them, yeah, you know, I could fix it for them. Okay, and I was looking at the paperwork. I was trying to sort out the paperwork with them, because apparently the paperwork, it was kind of confusing, because whoever done the paperwork didn't do a good job of the location of the different windows, what room they were supposed to go to. So I was looking at the paperwork, trying to figure it out, and explain it to the customer too. So I arranged a date with the customer to come in and do the job. Um, they're So I came in with my 2 workers. Okay, my 2 workers are actually uh, well, they've worked in construction, but they didn't have that much uh, vinyl window installation experience, you know, glazing experience. Okay, but because they worked in construction, you know, they had a good work ethic, and they also had some other skills that could uh, help me out on the job, like, you know, being able to go up a ladder, set up the ladder on their own, do caulking. Okay, use a tape measure, use a chop saw. Okay, use various different sorts of power tools. Okay, all that is very important, because there's a lot of skills that you learn from other jobs that you can apply to maybe a new trade that you're learning. Okay, and also too, from watching a person work. Okay, from what they tell you. Okay, like for instance, they tell you, oh, I know how to use a caulking gun, and then, you know, when you remember that worker told you what they could do, and then you're watching them use a caulking gun now, and you can tell pretty fast, you know, if you're experienced caulker, whether or not this person either told you the truth or lied to you, right? So back to the story. Me and my worker, you know, me and my workers, we, you know, it was a duplex house, so there was quite a few windows and a couple of patio doors. We finished installing all the windows. Customer is really happy with the job. They paid the remaining balance. Kenny, the guy at the office, the person I was telling you about, he showed up in the job site, and the customer started yelling at him. So I was trying to train Alice in the office just how to run the company because they um, they didn't have any experience in this sort of business. I found out later that they had a friend, okay, he had started up a vinyl window company in a different city. And then I guess when they came to the country, they were like, scratching their head going, what are we gonna do for a living, right? And they discussed, they say, hey, let's open up a vinyl window industry. We don't have any experience, but we'll just learn as we go along. That's not always the best thing to do. You have to get some experience. But I know that sometimes it's very difficult to get experience too because you're new to the country. Okay, English is not your first language. Um, who's gonna hire you to give you a chance, right? Um, Unless you're willing to work for free and just get the experience. But a lot of people are not willing to do that too, right? So they're making. I noticed that they're making not a lot of mistakes, but they're making mistakes every now and then that was costing them thousands of dollars. Um, some of the mistakes were just incorrectly measuring the windows, okay, the wrong size because they didn't know how to measure properly, okay. Believe it or not, measuring is actually quite important, and it's a skill, okay. Because sometimes the opening is out of square. You have to look at what type of siding is on the outside of the house is going to decide sometimes how the final window is going to be installed, okay. Because a lot of times they are getting the salespeople to measure the windows. Now you have to remember, some of the salespeople, they've never really used a tape measure in their entire life. Now you're asking them to, do precision measurements, okay? And you have to remember, if you're off by a quarter inch, okay, sometimes even a quarter inch too big or a quarter inch too small, the customer will be unhappy, okay? If a quarter inch too big, sometimes the window will not fit, okay? The installer will have to do a lot of extra work to get the window in, okay? Sometimes it'll take them at least maybe an extra hour and a half, okay, to do the things they need to do just so the vinyl window can fit afterwards. And of course the installer's not going to be happy, right? Because you have to remember it's taking him extra time now, okay? Might not finish the job because there was extra hour and a half of work that he just didn't expect, okay? So they were running the company, and they knew that okay, I worked for another bigger company that was more well established than theirs, okay, and I was trying to just train them and tell them what they were doing well so that they could apply the same principles to their company and get their company to grow, okay. One of the main things I was trying to tell them was you have to try to get a good salesperson in, okay, and you have to pay him a fair wage, okay, because the sales is one of the most important things in the job, because without the sales, okay, you're not getting any orders. You're not getting any orders, you're not making any money, okay. So they were trying out different people, but it just wasn't working. I don't know why. A lot of the people coming in, they had different backgrounds from other sales areas. Like there was one salesperson, he used to work for Sony, so the company was trying to train him, okay, to do sales in the vinyl window industry. He wasn't used to it because there's a lot of terms that you have to learn too, okay. And I think he may have been Japanese, okay. But he wasn't. I know that I found out later he wasn't happy with the company. He just disappeared, okay. I remember him dropping by sometimes when I was doing some of the installs. It was late, okay. I think it was around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, okay, in his dinner time. So, you know, you have to remember, okay, he's working through his dinner time, and you know, he may have not been happy working through his dinner time. At least, because if you get workers to work through their dinner time, like I'm talking, you know, past dinner time, right into 8 o'clock, okay. You know, buy your workers something to eat, okay, because well, once in a while, okay, um, because you know you're making them work, okay, overtime, and then plus two, um, you know, they're hungry, okay. They've already worked 8 hours already during the day, right? They're tired, they're hungry, right? I was trying to train them just to run the company better, and uh, I know that Alice took over as the salesperson for the office, and I was gonna say that she wasn't suited for it, okay? Because some customers were, well, one time a customer called me up and was just complaining the way that she was acting on the phone. Um, she just didn't have the she just didn't have the ability to be a good salesperson. Um, it's to be a salesperson. It's a skill in itself too. Okay, and if you can't talk well to people on the phone, and you know, it just seemed like a good salesperson to talk to. Okay, you have to kind of relate a bit to the customer too. Okay. Um, I think partly to do with because she was from another country. Okay, she was from, well, China, Shanghai, and her English was okay, but it wasn't perfect. Okay, um, so um, I tried to do my best, you know, to try to you know, improve the company for them. Okay. Um, I was telling them what areas in the company to focus on, okay, to make the company better. Um, because I felt, okay, if they would have if they would have got the right people in the company, okay, and you know, just listen to what I had to say, okay, and take, you know, the pointers, and you know what I was saying, you know, was quite important, okay. um, the company would have turned around and it would have got a lot bigger, a lot faster, okay. It would have grown, okay. um, but during the during the time with the company, I think Alice was mainly making most of all the decisions, I think. And then Sam, okay, I think he wasn't happy with the way the company was going, and then he took over, okay, and he started to run the company how he wanted it run, okay. And I heard that, you know, he got into argument with the sales guy, the new sales guy that we had, okay. He quit, okay, and then the contract that we agreed upon, okay, he broke it, okay, and then I wasn't happy, okay. So you know, he wasn't. He had another installing crew that I guess he liked better, and he was giving them most of all the contracts. Okay, so you know, I was almost getting, you know, close to nothing right now. Okay, and so you know, I felt that, okay, I was being mistreated in that company, right? You know, I had already stayed with them for about 2 years doing contract work, okay, helping them try and improve the company, move the company in the right direction, okay, fixing up a lot of their jobs that, you know, didn't turn out, okay, and you know, just doing a lot of contracts for them too. So, you know, I left the company just because, uh, Sam, he broke all the promises that he made with me in the contract that we wrote down, and I think eventually he had gotten in an argument with the main contractors that he was using, and then they quit on him, and then I think Alice tried to call me back. I didn't pick up the phone, okay, just because I was unhappy with them. But then I also bumped into Sam when I was with another vinyl window company, because this other person was their friend, and I was working for him, and he had asked me to well, he said to me, I have some contracts, I'm looking for installers. I told him that I wasn't interested. I'm only doing my jobs and Sean's jobs, because I think he already knew that. Okay, yeah, you didn't treat me fair when I was with the company. You wanted me to come back to do installs for you. I'm not likely to come back and do installs for you after you treat your workers like that, right? I think he kind of understood that, but some of these people, they're just not good. They're just not fair, and they're not good with people. Okay. So eventually I think the company had to close up. Okay, the company closed up, and I don't even think they sold it. They just closed it up. But I don't know if they still stayed in the city, or if they left and went back to Shanghai. But when I done a search on the internet, I didn't see the company pop up. I know that Sean's company, he eventually sold it to was it these 4 guys who were partners, and the business was doing really well. Okay. It was really busy. Okay, I know that they were making money. They were it seemed like they were happy. Okay. The company was growing too, because before the Sean's company in Burnaby, he was the only one looking after most of the stuff. Okay, he was looking after some of the sales. Okay, he was working the warehouse. And you have to remember those, and then he was looking after, well, you have to remember, just looking after those 2 things is really big. It's huge. Okay, it'll take up a lot of your time. He was looking after the estimates too. Okay, so he was meeting customers. So he I think he made a good profit, I think, from selling the company, because I think too, when new immigrants, when they come to this country, they have to invest so much money into a new business. So it was good for Sean, because they spoke Mandarin, he spoke Mandarin. Okay, he communicated then to them in their first language. He sold the company to them. Okay, now you had 4 guys working in the company. I had one guy working maybe as a salesperson, another person working in the warehouse, and then it just divided all the tasks into 4 now, right? And it made it a lot easier. But the company was so busy that what was it? I think a lot of the owners, they are putting in almost like 12, 15 hours, 5, 6 days a week. Okay, so they're really busy. Okay, I think even more busy than they had expected, and then they didn't want to put in all that overtime too. But sometimes they had no choice, because well, when the company's that busy, right, they have to put in the extra hours sometimes, right, because you're the owners, right? I wanted to just make this video just kind of describing the industry to the netizens out there, because the work is quite interesting, and don't regret the well, the career path that I took. Okay, but I'll make other YouTube videos of work in this industry because it was interesting work.